Hello and welcome to Coffee and Clinic. I'm Andrew, the osteopath at Thrive Body Clinic, and this is my regular catch-up from inside my treatment room. Each week I'll be sharing reflections from clinic, picking out highlights from recent or future blogs, rounding up UK health and osteo news that's directly relevant to you, answering any questions or comments, and hopefully leaving with a stretch or a tip that improves your week. So this week's clinic roundup, I have seen some hip pain, which is mostly due to a lack of mobility over a very extended period of time. I saw migraines, which we did some work around the neck to provide some relief. Some trigeminal pain in the face, which again meant working on the neck to try and provide a bit of relief to that and address the condition going forwards. And then the usual mix, there was necks, low back pain, tennis elbow, all of which needed some treatment and a little bit of homework and some general advice to help people get back to what they wanted to do as fast as they possibly could, and in a sustainable fashion as well. That led me something in that the tennis elbow maybe was the thing that triggered it. Something in amongst all of those people got me thinking about shoulder mobility, which turned into today's 3 tips for blog. So that's on the website now and plastered across social media. And today's stretch for this video is going to be all angels, just to help improves shoulder mobility. I've also had a very productive couple of hours at the weekend and smashed out my Wednesday blog, which is going to be inflammation versus injury. Basically, inflammation is your body's auto repair system versus injury, which is where you actually damage something. Clearly, both of them occur together. And inflammation can pop up after an injury has started to heal, making you think you've re-injured yourself. But I write a load about that, so you'll see that on Wednesday. And then, because I was so productive, I've also drafted Friday's post, which will need a little bit more work to be completely finished. That's about emotional resilience, building emotional resilience, and that's part of my coaching strand. So that leads me to health news. So the UK charity Blood Pressure UK are currently running a awareness week right now for high blood pressure, and in particular in terms of getting people to go and check for free. You can go to any of your pharmacies nearby, go to your GP surgery. You can order a relatively cheap machine and do it at home, and there's some research that says doing it at home is actually better because you are you're in a comfortable environment. There's no busy spaces. You're not in a rush. You're not being chased in and out of the cubicle at the pharmacy or at the GPs. So, I mean, it's a cheap machine. They're generally pretty easy to use. The thing to watch is that you get a cuff big enough to go around your arm. So there's different sizes. It's easy enough to work that out when you order it. But apparently 4 in 10 people don't know what their blood pressure numbers is. And at least a third don't check. It's actually one of the UK's biggest preventable causes of death, as well as the more obvious heart attacks. It's a very big contributor towards kidney disease and definitely kidney damage. So basically, if you're over 40, you ought to be checking it on a regular basis, at least once a year. It's not always obvious. Symptoms can be hidden right up until the point that something goes seriously wrong. So I'll put a link below to that, but really the message is go and get your blood pressure checked. I can do it in clinic if I see you in an appointment and we think it's necessary, or even if you're just interested. Happily do that. And the other item I came up with this week, it's not news as such, I don't think, but I saw an osteopathy role advertised in the local NHS trust. It wasn't a role I was particularly interested in. I do not think I would have suited it, but it's very encouraging as an allied healthcare practitioner to see osteopaths gain wider recognition, more commonplace recognition for roles like that in the NHS. There's been some studies that show that having osteopaths in first contact practitioner roles, musculoskeletal health triage roles, can reduce the workload in a GP surgery and can improve patient outcomes. So I'm encouraged. I think that's good. And it's nice to know that my profession is not just private healthcare, but incorporated into the national healthcare system too in an effective fashion. So it's a win for me. Listener questions and comments. I've not actually had any listener questions or comments as yet, but please do leave a comment below, even if you just want to say hi. If you've got a question, I'll happily try and answer it. Or you can email me at thrivebodyclinic@outlook.com. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so stretch for this week is wall angels. So I'm going to do it seated, but pressing your low back into the wall, legs maybe a little bit further away. You can bend those if you're stood. I'm seated, and then bring your arms up like you're under a rest. Low back still pressing into the wall, and then just gently take them up, nice and slowly, hands facing forwards, up, and then bring them down. This really opens up the shoulders and the chest. And just do a few of those. Probably going to feel that if you haven't done something like this for a while. I'm definitely feeling that. Okay, and bring them down, drop your hands forwards, roll your shoulders off, and we're done. So, thank you for tuning in today. I hope today's episode was useful. If you've enjoyed the episode, please feel free to share it with somebody you might think finds it helpful. If you've got any questions, any comments, if you just want to say hello, please do. Happily going to answer any of those in the future. And if you're after more thoughts or tips or useful advice, there's lots of that on the Thrive Body Clinic blog. There's over a year's worth of daily blogs on there to work through. So I'll be back with a cup of coffee next week. Have a great time. See you later. Have I now done all of these sections? Sick.